I am very excited to be bringing forth Nicole Keating, who is actually emceeing and co-hosting with us today, but she's also going to be presenting today on the business of ascension. And Nicole is the perfect person to be giving this presentation because she is a divine architect for spiritual leaders. And she really is dedicated to supporting spiritual businesses to birth their highest aligned visions into the world. And she is actually our brand architect at Soul Search. And she works to help expand our platform in so many ways, including by running our Platinum Mastermind program. And she also is the creator of Heaven on Earth Sedona Retreats, which is coming on up next weekend. And she just supports spiritual entrepreneurs and leaders across the boards to source their businesses and ideas to manifest in the new paradigm in a fun, creative, sustainable, and highly conscious way that aligns with the life they love, which is what I love about Nicole, because she is focused on making sure that for us, the ascension is fun and enjoyable and exciting and full of pleasure. So that is, which I love and what I love about working with her. So thanks, Nicole, for joining us today. And I'm excited to hear what you have to share with everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, Tangela. And it's such a pleasure to work with you. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But just to start out, I just want to tell a little bit of my story because I just moved to Sedona 2 years ago. My life has changed so much over the last 2 years. I'm imagining that those of you listening have also changed a ton over the last 2 years. So flashback to 2 years ago, I was in the Bay Area and I was working on a completely different business, which was all about conscious brands and sharing the vision there. And then when we had the lockdown and the shutdown, I found myself feeling absolutely almost strangulated, like not able to breathe, not able to move, like feeling like I needed to get out. And I had been coming to Sedona for a couple of years. I always like to joke, I was dating Sedona. And one day I was on a walk in the park and I walked up and I saw a little girl crying because the entire playground was wrapped in caution tape and she wasn't allowed to play. And I felt like that was my little girl inside feeling the same way. So it was this beautiful moment of recognition that it was time to listen to my intuitive guidance and listen to the calling. And where I was being called and pulled and magnetized was to Sedona. And it was for a very important reason because very shortly after that, I just decided to come and rent a place for 1 month. I gave myself a month to figure it out. And 2 weeks in at a potluck gathering, which is something we do all the time in Sedona. It's probably like twice a week that somebody's bringing everyone together in community at a potluck. And there's music and instruments and sharing of organic, clean food. And it's just this dream heaven on earth community. I was offered a friend who's actually speaking at the event as well, Stuzy, said to me, well, what is your dream? Or do you want to stay here? And I told him I'd love to find a place that is furnished and it would be awesome to live on sacred land and community. And literally the next day he connected me to be here. And the land that I live on has an amazing flourishing garden. And everyone on this land is a healer of some type. So I was being pulled not only to Sedona, but also to activate my healing and spiritual gifts. And I had no idea at the time, but through that process of the last 2 years, I've learned what my purpose is and what my mission is truly on this planet is to be a pillar of light for the awakening, for the ascension, and to also support sacred conscious businesses and creating in this new paradigm, in this fifth dimensional energy, which is there's new ways of doing and being in business. And also we're just in our grand divine remembrance right now. We're all waking up and remembering who we truly are. And so that's what's happened for me here. And just to share a little bit, I'm so grateful to be working with Soul Search. It's been a dream collaboration for sure. So some of the I want to talk a little bit about the old ways and the new ways. And a lot of us probably know, as we see the screaming and the dying of the old ways. It's almost like it's getting louder and more intense. It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, and the witch is melting and screaming and making a lot of noise, but there's so many things in our old way of doing things that are no longer working. So I would love, as you're listening to this, just to tune in to your own life and your own business experiences and your own experiences of commerce, and maybe take down some notes of things that you'd like to implement in your world to help your business or your offering to the world ascend as well as you. So one of the old ways that we see is this extractive business model, where we're literally pulling as much out. If you think about it, pulling out of the earth, right? Extracting as much as we can, extractive, versus the new way is generative. Generative meaning and restorative. It's like, how can this be not just for profit, but also for good? So that's really where we're going, is the generative, restorative, thinking of like how we plant gardens differently even. One of the other points is just the energy of competition out there, right? We've been in a world where there's so much competition. And when I think back to myself in the past, I remember just I've always been very creative, like ideas just flowed so naturally through to me and through me. And I remember, years ago being afraid to share those ideas for fear that someone would take them. It was that energy of competition and fear. And now I've come to see that is one of my divine gifts. And so the more I share my ideas and share my gifts and share my ideas for others that can make their businesses expand and better. And none of us are able to do it all. So the more we can share in the spirit of collaboration, that's truly where we're going. And there is it's also releasing the idea that there's any scarcity at all. So back when I was feeling that way, I had this experience of scarcity. Like if I share this, then there's not going to be enough for me, but that's not true. We're actually in a completely divinely abundant world and universe. And the more that we share our offerings, our gifts, and in the spirit of true collaboration, the more it just comes back to us and just proliferates in abundance for all. Another old way is, the idea of like squeezing out every ounce of productivity out of somebody that works with you, or out of your work, out of the employees or the business, right? Just squeezing out every single ounce of productivity. And that is just exhausting to even think about. I remember that age where everybody was like learning about productivity. How do we get more productive? How do we get more productive? Which is very, we're also harmonizing and balancing the masculine and the feminine. So it was a much more masculine way of doing business. Whereas now we're thinking more along the lines, and where we're going is more along the lines of our highest authentic impact, our highest possible impact of how we can serve. And we do that by being in our mastery side by side. So in the old paradigm, we had a whole era of the guru, right? The sage from the stage speaking to the people, and the people putting those leaders and teachers and gurus on a pedestal. Well, that's the old way. And now we're going into all of us standing side by side with our gifts in our mastery. So we are, many gifts and abilities are coming online right now. Psychic abilities to see things, abilities to tune into other realms and bring in divine information, abilities to bring in off-planet information that supports us. So this is a really, really powerful one. And I want you to think about, for those of you that are listening right now, tuning into like, what is your essential nature? What is your divine mastery? What are those gifts that you are one of the best in the world at, that you absolutely love doing? What is your zone of genius? So we're going from trying to sort of be a jack of all trades and do and be everything, which obviously we all know that is a one-way ticket to burnout, which I've totally done that at least 2 or 3 times in my life. And now it's all about, you know, us being able to serve our sacred gifts and spend as much time doing that part, which we are the best at, which we are in love with, which doesn't even feel like work because it's a blessing to who you're serving. It's that blessing that you have, that blessing that you receive bliss from doing. Another one that has really come forth is, and I just feel this so much with Soul Search, and I'm at this moment in my life, I'm truly in multiple collaborations, and it's so freaking cool. Like, I'm in this beautiful sacred collaboration with Soul Search and Tangela, and I'm learning so much from working with her and specific things. One of the things I've learned from working with Tangela is when she sees someone's gift, she like lets them run with it. So she's an incredible delegator, but I think that's an old term for the past. I think the new term is really, she's an empowerer. So when you find someone that has a sacred gift that, you know, only they can do that, which they do great, the best they can, really blowing wind into their wings and empowering them and trusting, which is the divine feminine, is the allowing and the trusting of someone to do and share their gifts. Music is my jam, says Chris. Yes, I love that. So what, in regards to that, like the environment in which we work in together, me and Tangela, is beautiful. And I know we've all had experiences in the past paradigm of things being harsh, or you feeling shut down, like you can't speak your truth. You know, maybe somebody might take credit for your ideas. You know, especially in the corporate world, there's so many experiences that people have had where it feels like an unsafe working environment. So we're going from that experience into an experience that's very liberating, and you have a safe place to be vulnerable, to be open, to share your truth, and also to be human. Okay, like to be imperfectly, perfectly you. And that is where we're going. And it's so important, because part of creating a heaven on earth business is having a clear throat chakra, which is connected to your solar plexus, your power center. So if you're able to speak authentically, vulnerably, and honestly and openly with each other, then you're able to actually come from an empowered and embodied place. And this is also connected to your listening. So your throat, these are all connected to each other. And so I would also like to bring in, this is one that's just coming in now, is the idea that you consciously witness each other. So we're not just listening to be speaking next. Like, I want to share my part. That's the past of us being like, I've got to get my idea or my word in edgewise, right? But we're from this embodied 5D business place, we are truly present with one another. We consciously witness and consciously respond. So we actually bring in more spaciousness and more sacredness into the work that we're doing. The other thing that is totally going away, which I love because that's not my style. You know, it's funny, my partner in the 11/11 event, Krista, is incredibly polished. Like she's like this Lemurian crystal, like it's perfectly polished being. And I'm sort of the wild one. So it's so great that we're moving away from perfection and being and almost like, you know, creating these long drawn out launch periods where we work our butts off and we put in, you know, weeks and weeks and months and hours into creating something for people that we think it's what they want. We're actually going into a place of literally creating with the collective. And that's actually what we've done in Soul Search for the Platinum program. Of course, Tangela and I ideated together on what we were creating for 25 spiritual entrepreneurs that wanted to take their business to the next level. But the actual creation of that process, I was working on the next call each week before that call. I was receiving feedback from the tribe after the call. And then we were crafting the next call with our framework, within our framework, but also we were listening to what was being asked for, to what was needed. We were consciously co-creating as a cohort together. And that's really where we're going, is to be in almost divine union with the creation energy, to be in a space where we're literally have an open channel and everybody is considered, everybody matters. I'm a big fan of bringing in curiosity. So a lot of times we think in business that we know what people want and need. And yes, on some levels, we have a great perspective. We have a great jumping off place. But I'll tell you what, it is the most incredible thing ever to create in real time, because when you do that, you actually receive so much more information and so much more direction in the direction of what people actually want and need. And sometimes that is not everything that you thought. You get all this amazing insight and feedback and knowledge, and you can actually take something, create it, launch it, and make it epic for the next round. So like, we're really in a place of trust with our creation process, trust with one another, and trust with the divine of what's coming through to be created. So in a sense, we're going from like a more three-dimensional realm of creation to a multi-dimensional realm of creation with multi-dimensional inputs into our creation process. So this is a big one. This actually came through with my dear sister, Krista, who I'm creating the 1111 with. So I think something that's really shifting is how we deal with conflict. In the past, in business or in the corporate world, like, people would just be taken down by conflict with a coworker or somebody they were working with, a tough boss. That would be something that would create oppression and almost take your body into a disease state, right? Like, where you're constantly oppressed and in fear to speak up, or in a place where you feel unseen and unmet. Well, we're going into a place where we actually alchemize our conflicts. We alchemize it completely. So I've had this big co-creation with my sister, Krista. She's amazing. And of course, we're sisters, we're friends. We've definitely had other lifetimes together. So when you think about 6 months of co-creation, like very close together around certain things, you're going to have conflicts that come up, and a lot of them are connected to our own inner child wounds. One of mine is being abandoned, and that's like from childhood, right? A lot of us have the one of not being enough, or the one for her, what came through was not, she was afraid that she wouldn't shine as brightly as me. So like, we had these moments where conflict would come up, and whatever was happening, there was something underneath it. And so the power of truly alchemizing conflict is to hold a safe space for that person and to move through it with them, not to cut and run, not to abandon, not to run away. Sometimes you may need space to think about what's really going on, and that's fine. But we're on the next level in our conscious 5D businesses of giving space to truly alchemize conflict. So what I mean by that is, once you've taken the space and you've acknowledged whatever's going on, you come back together, you talk through it with love, with an open heart, and then it's gone. It no longer exists, because we are multidimensional beings living in a quantum field. Literally, you can truly alchemize and release anything. And we all know what it's like to be coming from this 3D, this duality of conflict. And we also know what it's like to be in the space of love. And love and fear don't exist in the same plane. So it's truly something that you could shift into this consciousness, move through it, and it's completely gone. That's where we're going. So let's see. And then what I was going to say about the masculine and feminine, we've come from this age of the masculine, more of the masculine being leading and guiding. And it's such an important part of how we work in business and how we show up. And how we make things happen. It's absolutely imperatively important. But what's been rising in our culture and rising in our society has been the feminine. And so Tangela and I have talked a lot about, she came from a more corporate world, the tech space, like very masculine. She got so much done just by powering through. And for the feminine, if we only stay on that frequency, it creates burnout for the feminine part of us, right? So bringing in more of the feminine energy into business looks like spaciousness, looks like running the cycle of nature, right? And nature, if you think about the moon cycle, the full moon is that expansion where we're going into that, like almost that climactic wave that crashes, and then we celebrate, and then we kind of clean up after that and like dot our I's and cross our T's, and then we go into the new moon energy. And the new moon is a time of rest, and it's a time of planting new seeds of ideas, and then, then our ideas germinate as we go back towards the full moon. So it's like following the natural rhythms, the sacred rhythms of nature in business. And then the feminine is also just allowing and surrendering. If something is not working, like we've totally been there before. It's like, okay, something is not working here. Like a lot of times I like to ask myself a question of like, what would be joyful or blissful or exciting to work on, because this thing over here isn't working too well. So then I'll shift my energy and tune in to spirit and ask, what would feel really good to work on. So it's actually tuning into our bodies and following our guidance is the feminine. And then we're able to get out of that energy and activate in the direction that is going to create more of that yumminess of life, right? So as far as the masculine, also a big business model that's changing is the idea of this top down, this triangle of like all the people up here are up top and they're more important than all these other people that work together. So we're actually going from this sort of top down model to a multi-dimensional model. It's very much more, it's a new sacred geometry. It's very much more concentric circles. It's very much more everyone in their mastery and their gifts. And the businesses are growing like in a multi-dimensional way versus this top-down pyramid structure. So I would love just for this moment for you guys to reflect. I have a couple of questions for you listening. Just to reflect on where in your life are you going it alone instead of calling in collaboration and support, because that's the old way. And the new way is we can be supported. We can actually live in our mastery and we can call in help and support when we need it. So where are you in your life going at it alone, and where might you need or be ready to open up to support? The second question is who in your life could become a sacred collaborator, somebody that you know that their mastery and gifts truly complement your own, and that by you bringing together your energies and your gifts and your mastery, that you can, it's not 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 1,000. Who is somebody in your life that could do that for your business or for your offerings, or it even could be in your home life? Like how could you and your partner collaborate differently and really honor each other's gifts and each other's mastery to create a more expansive and more cohesive, harmonious life? And then the last one is, this has really come forth recently for me, because I've been so blessed in soul search to really be able to figure out what my zone of genius is. I definitely have skills in many areas, but Tangela has given me the opportunity through working with her on Platinum to realize like my zone of genius, what I love doing so much and the most is creating curriculum and delivering it. So like leading interactive workshops on Zoom for our Platinum group, creating and designing that curriculum and then leading that. I also love doing that in person, which is what I'm doing for my event in 11/11. But I've been able to find my zone of genius through this collaboration. And I've also been able to find it through my collaboration with Krista, other parts of the zone of genius. So my question to you is, are you living in your zone of genius? And if not, what's one step that you could take to create a more sacred space to up level and to be spending more time in your mastery? I would love to know for you guys. So let's see, we're coming. I would love to just talk about just a little bit about some of the sacred collaborations that are going on right now in my world. And one of them is a labor of love. And when I came to Sedona and I realized that I'm here to be a pillar and a stand for heaven on earth, it came to me that I was to create an event that brings people together to experience this energy, because I had never been around people like this. I mean, when I first got to Sedona, I spent probably 6 months playing. I call it the Sedona spin. So playing in the energy, going to the ecstatic dance and experiencing bliss and like letting go of my fear of what people were thinking about me and just dancing and letting go. And then, learning, going to these sound healing activations. And I'd never seen anyone speak light language before. And, there are all these potlucks with music. And I started using my voice and singing with people and toning and oming. So I went through this whole experience of expanding my being and expanding my understanding of who I was and an essential nature is somebody who's here to experience play and bliss and pleasure and love, right? And that's actually who we are all here, and that's our birthright to experience. So that's why I'm calling together a group for the 11/11 portal. It's on 11/9 through 11/11. 11/12, we're going to play in Sedona. And so many of the people on this conference are part of it. And so it's actually a beautiful example of a conscious collaboration. Isaac, Tangela, there's probably 8 to 10 of us that are part of Soul Search that are going to be part of this. Melissa Fike, Lisa, McCardle, India, Raquel Spring, Krista. There's just so many of us. So what I realized through that is that if you bring a collaboration together, the goal is to literally let everyone bring their gifts. Let everyone bring their light. You, as a conscious creator, you hold the vision. You hold the container. You are the one that this is birthing through. So there's a different energy that comes when you're creating as the holder of the sacred container. But the goal is to bring everyone together so that they can shine their light and their mastery. I wish I could hug someone. Oh, I wish I could hug you, Chris. That's so beautiful. So, okay, this is what I want to do next. Tangela, I want to share with the group. The way that we start our sacred meetings. Okay. So I was thinking about what is a tool, like a tangible tool that I could bring to this beautiful conference offering. So what I'm going to do with you guys now, and I'm going to invite Tangela to chime in as we do. This is what we do before we start every meeting. And I also do this with Krista. And, as we are learning about our multidimensionality, a co-creation or a collaboration is not just with you and that person. You can also call in all of the extra support you have, and they want to be there. So we start every meeting by calling in our angels and our guides and our ancestors and our galactics. We start every meeting that way. And we've noticed when we forget and we don't, it's flat compared to what happens after we do this activity. So I want to do that with all of you now. And so you can take this tool and you can do this with your coaching clients, with your business meetings. You could do your own version of this. It does not have to be as ethereal, but it is so beautiful. It's a way of really calling in the extra support that we have. So I'm going to ask everyone to just close their eyes. Find yourself in space. Just allow your feet to connect to the floor or the earth underneath you, connecting to Gaia, Mama Gaia, who is always, always holding all of us. Imagine that you have roots growing out of your feet that are going all the way through the floor, the sediment, the rocks, the layers of the earth, all the way into the center, wrapping around the crystalline, glowing, sacred core of Gaia. Imagine that it's wrapped around now, and you breathe that sacred energy of Gaia up through your roots. Breathing in her nurture, her love, her support. Breathing in that sacred mother energy, knowing that you are always cared for, you are always held, you are always safe, and you are always loved. Allow that energy to flow through your body and light up each one of your cells with nourishment and love. Now imagining that you have a beautiful platinum ray of light coming from the top of your head, out of your crown, and it's connected all the way up, up, up to the central sun. Now imagine that energy coming down through all of your chakras, meeting that earth energy in the heart, that galactic, golden, platinum, sun, vitality energy, lighting up every cell of your being with the cosmic angel that you are. Breathe that in. Lighting up every cell in your radiance and your vitality. Calling in now our angels and guides. We always call in Archangel Metatron, the divine architect of the universe. He helps us to create in his sacred geometry, sacred energy, calling in Archangel Michael to cut any cords that would keep this beautiful co-creation from absolute liftoff, rocket launch magic. Calling in our divine feminine and our divine masculine, Mother Mary, Yeshua, calling in Kuan Yin, the mother of compassion, calling in Raphael for healing, just melting away anything that would hold this project, this sacred collaboration, from its fullest expansion. Now I'd like to invite Tangela to call in some of her guides and the galactics.
And so I call in Kuan Yin, Mother of Mercy and Compassion. Call in our galactic families, the Hathors, the Lyrans, the Palladians, the Syrians, all supporting us in all our work that we are here to do together, knowing that they are surrounding us in every step that we take on this cosmic journey together. We feel their presence with us strongly, and we feel beautifully supported, held, and loved by our galactic families, our ascended masters, our angels, goddesses, gods, knowing that they're all a part of who we are, part of ourselves, as we all come together in unity.
Oh, and we can't forget the fairies, the devas, so we keep it playful, light, and the elementals to support our harmonious balance. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. This meeting can commence.
Thank you, Nicole. That was beautiful, and thank you for bringing us into business of ascension, and us consciously creating together in this time of ascension. As Nicole just demonstrated, this is not the way that we've been taught to do business. But that's what we're doing. We're here expanding that entire definition and that way of being and doing in every aspect of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you, Tangela. I know we're over on time. I was just going to say, you can check out my site is NicoleKeating.com. And I do have a gift there that's a lot of great questions you can ask in your business to bring the consciousness up. So check that out. And also we'll put in the chat the Heaven on Earth 11/11 event. And I have a special coupon code for Soul Family, which gives you the deepest discount for all of anyone who wants to come and actually pray and play and ascend together in this energy. Right on time, sister.
That means Deborah's arrived. She's like the good witch, you know, with the fairy bells.
That was it. Thank you.
Collaborators and sacred.
I just want to say about what Nicole was saying. It's ascension is the energy of the time. And that's why Deborah's here, because she's been tracking it more than anyone I know.
Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. This is Neil, founder of Portal to Ascension, and just closing out this podcast here and letting you know that what you're experiencing are all types of presentations that we have on Portal to Ascension. Such a wide variety, different audio clips from conferences that we do, and then other interviews that we have also on our YouTube. And I want to take this moment here at the end and just talk to you about a few upcoming things with Portal to Ascension. We're really excited because 2023, we're really blasting off, and we have a few conferences. We have Portal to Ascension San Diego, April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We have Portal to Ascension Glastonbury in the UK. Hope to see some of you there. That's August 11th, 12th, and 13th of next year. And then, or 2023 if you're listening to it now. And then we're also taking a tour of people to Egypt, guys. And we're going to go from September 7th. We're going to have the HURTAKs with us, JJ and DESIREE HURTAK, like you might have experienced on that channel. Joan of Angels is going to be with us, and also Alan Steinfeld. And actually, I have Joan of Angels here with me right now, so I'm going to just hand it over to her and get your input, Joan, on what we're going to be experiencing, your excitement, and all of that.
So this is a critical time in our history on the planet, and 2023 is this reawakening of it's just our reawakening of our spirituality and our transformation along this ascension timeline. So these events are designed to really awaken you, to really bring you to remember who you are, why you're here, your galactic origins, the power, the personal power we have within us to shift into the planet that we really want at the most optimum of potential, to align our body, mind, and spirit to get there. So these, just to be together in person, activates forgotten memories, activates light codes, activates DNA, and most of all, activates your happiness cells, because the joy in coming together is just extraordinary. So we invite you to come and be with us in any of these events around the world. And even online, we try to create that same energetics. So we love you all, that we are creating a mystery school that goes around the planet and off planet.
Exactly, yes. And just a few websites for you. So firstly, of course, the main website, portaltoascension.org. We'll have everything there. You can sign up and get 1,000 plus, well, it's over 3,000 at this point, hours of free conscious content, you know, like a streaming platform where you can browse and all of that. And then ascensionconference.com for Portal to Ascension San Diego, ascensionglastonbury.com for the Glastonbury conference, and then the Egypt tour is going to be on Portal to Ascension, or is on portaltoascension.org as well. Yeah, so some beautiful, amazing experiences. We're really blasting off. It's time to get exponential. You know, we've been exponential, but now the exponential curve is even going even higher, because it's really time for us to remember who we are, tap in our true potential, and make some change on Earth that's creates betterment for everybody, right? And that's why we're doing what we do. That's why this podcast exists. So excited to see you guys there. AscensionConference.com and Portal to Ascension. Joan, any closing words?
Ascension Glastonbury. Yeah, we're all taking off together. This is the times for which we've been called, loves. Can't wait to see you there.
Love you all.